Imagine visiting a third world country for the first time. You're traveling to adopt a child through an agency. The agency provides you with the profile of a 10-year-old girl that looks emaciated. She's probably no more than 60 pounds. Her hair is unkempt and broken off from not having it done correctly, and her clothes are disheveled. She has on stockings with high top worn down pink and white sneakers and a fancy white ruffled church dress, but her eyes are huge and full of life. So you anticipate adopting this child with excitement. She's the middle child of 9 children, living in a bad neighborhood, and is being raised by a single mother who makes less than $10,000 a year from government assistance. Prior to the adoption, you must spend at least 2 months in her home, observing her lifestyle and living conditions to help her transition once you bring her back to the United States. Upon your entry into her home, you quickly notice the walls are a dingy white with hand smears running across them, probably from the children in the home, and the molding in various places is corroded. As you travel up 13 rubber encased stairs, you spot clothing and other underwear with holes in them hanging to dry from the doors that have slight mold running beneath the clothing. You can smell the stench of mold, but the children carry on and are unbothered. As you continue searching for your promised child, you look down to find the floor tiles are slightly chipped and the toilet in the bathroom is surrounded by dried up urine. Roaches have infested the place, climbing in and outside of crevices and scurrying across kitchen countertops. All food in the cabinets are encased by Belo grocery bags, and there are roach eggs in the refrigerator, freezer, and stove drawer, which make you question how anyone would be able to safely eat here. In one room, there is a mattress on the floor and a huge television atop a dresser. The room next door to it is closed and has a child's name written across it in black marker. You bypass that room and finally arrive at your soon-to-be adopted child's room. When you walk in, you notice pictures of Florence Jerna Kersey on the door to her closet, a radio sitting on the dresser with note cards in the corners of the mirror with small handwriting that says Grammys, with a large poster right above her bunk bed entitled Drugs. You finally meet her. She's the one writing and looking out the window, watching her friends play outside. Elated to have finally met her, you go to embrace her and get a whiff of her hygiene. She smiles with discolored teeth that appear to not have been brushed for a while. At night, you observe her routine, and instead of following the typical process many children follow before going to bed, brushing her teeth, taking a shower, and being tucked in, she rinses her mouth with water because there is no toothpaste or toothbrush, puts her brothers to bed, and stuffs her ears with toilet paper to protect herself from the possible invasion of roaches that infest her home. The only night she bathes is Sundays, when she enters the same water that was previously used by the brothers she bathed before getting into the tub herself with her sister, who is 3 years younger. Every night she awaits the silence in her house, and then begins working on her school assignments and wishes upon a star before going asleep. After spending a month there, you make note of the one visitor that periodically frequents the home. He is a pastor who drives a Cadillac, wears shiny Stacey Adams shoes, fedoras, and 3-piece suits. While the children are unaware of the purpose behind his visits, you quickly deduce that he is the father to the 6 children still residing in this house, and only visits to have his sexual urges satisfied, even though he is married with 6 children by his wife. You've only been there a month, and not only are you disheartened, but you are appalled to the point that you pull the child aside and suggest immediate removal. She begs and pleads with you not to tell anyone about her conditions because, as you have witnessed, she is the mother operating in the home, cooking, bathing, missing days of school to make sure her siblings can get into the house when her mother has to visit the Department of Social Services because her mother is too paranoid to provide anyone with a key to the home. You're not sure what to do. In addition to her home life, her outdoor life isn't much better. This child has close relationships with the drug dealers and street workers in the community. You can't decide if this is a good or bad situation. Somehow, she has managed to build relationships with them to ensure her safety in the community when walking outside late at night. Because of all of what you have witnessed, you're not sure if you want to bring this child into your home. She's probably more than mentally unstable, especially with all the talks her father has with them about people being out to kill them. But what makes you second guess your rejection of this child is her stellar academic record. She has A's in all of her classes. What do you do? Would you take this child? That child is me. I am the woman who grew up in a third world country while living in the United States. My mother was mentally unstable, and my father was a pastor who also happened to be a pedophile. I was molested at the age of 15 by my father. Due to my mother's choices and undiagnosed mental instability, I never had the chance to be a child. The major moments that children have with their parents, such as learning how to ride a bike, drive a car, tie his or her shoes, learning how to read, I had to teach myself. Life was like living in a cage. I was not permitted to even embrace my father's side of the family because we had to remain a secret even though we attended the same church as his legitimate family. It was obvious we were his offspring. However, during those rough times, I never gave up. At a young age, I identified teachers, coaches, and counselors. The woman I call my mother today was my 6th grade tennis coach. I would annoy the heck out of her by constantly joking about the way in which she talked because I was just ignorant. I'm not sure why teachers complain so much today about behavioral issues. If we could shift our focus to what our children need and focus less on our convenience, we would be better able to serve. Not one time did my mother, the one who adopted me, not one time did she ever give up. She never cried. Instead, she loved on me and continues to love me as her only daughter and my daughter as her granddaughter. My now uncle, who helped propel me into this field of education, met me while in college and was so impressed by my story that he used me as part of his research on resilience. Now, I write curricula for his company and he treats me as family. It is because of people like my mother and uncle who took me in anyway, despite my hang-ups and the story they really did not fully know, that I fight so hard for other children. There were so many educators holding me up, believing in me, rescuing me when they didn't know they were on a rescue mission. I wonder all the time, where are the teachers like that today? The ones who would go beyond their job descriptions to purchase clothing for children who are without, take them to the mall and not make them feel bad for not having enough. I remember going on television and advocating for myself because I was in the International Baccalaureate and all the assignments had to be typed, but I was without a computer. Not even a full day after, I received 2 computers. I strive hard for those who are overlooked, voiceless, and tell this story because I want parents and children to know that they too can be free from their circumstances. They can walk outside at night, wish upon a star, and know that God hears and sees them, that they are not alone in these caged environments. They can see themselves even if no one else does. You can too. You can see yourself even if the world is blind. Do you see who you are? Stand up and say, I am more than my situation. I remember being so down but up at the same time. I told myself, this is not my reality. This is not how I will live, and I tell myself that every day now because I realized in the past I was able to think myself out of my situation. I focused on what I saw in the future and let that be my truth. No one can tell me that thoughts aren't things. As we think, that emanates from us and draws the necessary resources that we need or want. We must speak what we envision despite what we see. It is why I started my company, Cage Free Voices, a multi-service educational entertainment company that educates youth and young adults who struggle with self-image and identity by helping them see themselves even if the world is blind. We provide educational games, curricula, and additional resources for educational publishing companies, school districts, and parents to help re-engage the disengaged while improving academic and social skills. Join me in the fight. All right, remember to see yourselves even if the world is blind. Reflect, connect, and transcend every internal and external barrier that will try to cage your voice. Remember, be cage free.